Hello everyone, I'm back again with a very important topic, voice modulation. You may wonder what is voice modulation because I got so many messages, ma'am, make a video on voice modulation. Voice modulation is a very, very important part of communication because when you are wanting to express yourself to someone else, when you're talking to someone else, it's extremely important that your message should get to that person in a very effective way. जो मैं बोलना चाहती हूँ उस इंसान तक पहुंच रहा है कि नहीं. वॉइस मॉड्यूलेशन क्या होता है इसके बारे में आज हम बात करने जा रहे हैं. And it's important to understand first thing what is communication because voice modulation is used in communication. So communication क्या है? Communication is when we speak to each other or when we express ourselves to each other. We pass on our thoughts, we pass on our ideas to each other. जब हम दूसरों को अपने दिल की बात बोलते हैं, that is communication. And we use so many different ways. कितने तरीके हम use करते हैं communication के लिए? We write, we speak, we draw, we use coded language. We can use so many different ways for communication. हम जब किसी से बात करते हैं, लिखकर, बोलकर, इलेक्ट्रॉनिकली, बहुत से तरीके, कोडेड लैंग्वेज, ये सारे यूज करते हैं टू पास ऑन अ मैसेज. एंड इफ what you're wanting to say, जो आप फील कर रहे हैं, that doesn't get to the person effectively, then your communication is not that great. अगर आपकी बात जैसा आप बोलना चाह रहे हैं, जो एक्सप्रेस करना चाह रहे हैं, दूसरे इंसान को वो फीलिंग ही ना आए, तो फिर उस कम्युनिकेशन का क्या फायदा. तो इसीलिए वॉइस मॉड्यूलेशन आपकी कम्युनिकेशन में बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट पार्ट प्ले करता है बिकॉज व्हाट इज वॉइस मॉड्यूलेशन इन सिंपल टर्म्स. अगर सिंपली हम देखें व्हाट इज वॉइस मॉड्यूलेशन, यू कैन से दैट putting emotions in your voice, raising your voice, reducing the tempo, the volume, the pitch, the rate. A lot of things go into making your voice. So before I tell you what is voice modulation, let us first understand how voice is produced. Let's go back to primitive man. पुराने जमाने में चलते हैं, आदिवासी मानव की तरफ. When there was no language, कोई language नहीं थी. How they were communicating? They were communicating through the voice or through actions. Now voice में कैसे? When they had to tell somebody that it's danger, they used to shout and make some noise. And when they had to tell somebody nearby that there is a animal and they were hunting, so they used to whisper. When they were putting their children to bed, they used to use soft voice so that the others can sleep. So basically they were also using voice for communication, but that time there were no languages, so people were actually using voice modulation to communicate. गुस्सा है तो आवाज ऊंची चली जाती थी, प्यार से बात करनी है तो आवाज नीचे आ जाती थी, सीक्रेट बोलना है तो आवाज नीचे चली जाती थी, इंपॉर्टेंट चीज कोई बोलनी है तो उस बात को जोर से दबा के उस वर्ड को बोला जाता था. सो वॉइस मॉड्यूलेशन एक्चुअली अनकॉन्शियसली स्टार्टेड फ्रॉम द primitive man, and slowly it got refined, the languages were developed and stuff happened, and slowly voice modulation became a subject in itself in communication. Voice modulation can be used when you are singing, because even when you are singing, you're actually expressing your emotions. So the notes go high, the notes go low, the notes go straight, the notes go in all directions. Similarly, बात करते वक्त भी when we are expressing, हमारी आवाज ऊपर नीचे अलग अलग emotions के साथ जाती है. So basically voice modulation means expressing your voice with ups and downs and all kinds of other stuff inside. अब ये देखते हैं कि वॉइस बनती कैसे है. तो वॉइस को बनाने के लिए we have three different systems: the respiratory system, the phonetic system, and the resonance. These are the three things जिनकी वजह से वॉइस बनती है. The respiratory system यानी कि हमारे lungs हो गए, हमारा trachea हो गया, हमारा diaphragm हो गया. These are all a part which is very responsible in our breath. The phonetic system, that is our larynx, the vocal folds, and the resonance is the buzzing sound which is produced by the folds of the vocal cord. Vocal folds क्या हैं? Vocal folds are two small folds of muscles जो हमारे larynx के अंदर होते हैं. And they open and they close, and they open and they close. So when you inhale, you close that vocal fold, and when you exhale, they open. यानी कि जब हम बात करने लगते हैं तो बात करने से पहले we take a breath in, जिसकी वजह से हमारे vocal folds जो है वो लॉक हो जाते हैं, बंद हो जाते हैं. And when we exhale, जब हम बात करने लगते हैं तो हम अपनी सांस बाहर छोड़ते हैं. We exhale क्योंकि the air rush is there, and because of that air rush we exhale. और तब तक हमारी आवाज निकलती रहती है जब तक हमारी वो पूरी की पूरी हवा बाहर नहीं निकल जाती. And then we inhale again and then we exhale again. यानी कि बात करते वक्त बेसिकली हम सांस अंदर भी ले रहे होते हैं, हम सांस बाहर भी छोड़ रहे होते हैं. सांस अंदर ले रहे होते हैं, we lock the vocal folds. सांस बाहर ले रहे होते हैं, we open the vocal folds. So basically ये तीन systems एक साथ काम कर रहे हैं. सांस अंदर लेना, सांस की amplification, vibration और ये vocal folds जो ऊपर और नीचे होते हैं. So common शब्दों में हम ये कह सकते हैं कि voice जो है हमारे voice box की वजह से आता है, और जो ये वॉइस बॉक्स है ये इन तीन अलग अलग सिस्टम्स के साथ बना है, और ये तीनों आपस में मिलकर हमारे साउंड को स्वीटनेस देते हैं. किसी की आवाज हैवी होती है, किसी की आवाज लाइट होती है. इट्स ऑल बिकॉज किस टाइप की वाइब्रेशंस निकल रही हैं और ये हमारा वॉइस बॉक्स कैसे रिस्पॉन्ड कर रहा है उस एयर फ्लो को, जिसकी वजह से वो वाइब्रेशन हमारे वॉइस में बन रही है. इफ वी स्पीक विदाउट वॉइस मॉड्यूलेशन, our voice will be continuous and monotonous and very boring. Hello, my name is Rita Gangwani. See, there is no emotion, there is no up, there's no down. It's like reading. Basically, even reading we use voice modulation unconsciously. But when we speak monotonous, that is when we have an absolute flat voice and it is not at all effective. Normally, in our daily life, we use voice modulation. We express ourselves to each other. We actually use voice modulation, but when we are on stage, when we are in front of the audience, for a lot of people, we go blank, our throat dries up, and we want to finish what we are saying very, very quickly. And because we want to finish things quickly, we just say whatever we want to say and get off the stage, least realizing whether whatever I have said is actually gone through to the judges or not, or gone through to the audience or not. So when you are in pageant, you will have ample opportunity to use voice modulation either during your introduction or during your question answers round or during your pageant interviews. And similarly in life, wherever you go, whenever you communicate, if you can use voice modulation, you will always be really, really effective with your communication. So the first thing which you should remember in voice modulation is emphasis. Emphasis means bana zor dalna. So there could be certain words which you want people to actually focus upon. कुछ ऐसे words हैं जिन पे हम चाहते कि लोग focus करें. So when you put a lot of pressure on that word, that pressure is called emphasis. That message gets through in a very nice way. Let's look at this sentence. Let me tell you about a word which is overrated, not quite understood by people, and the word is millennials. Now, when you put emphasis, how will you say it? Let me tell you about a word which is underrated, not quite understood, and the word is millennials. So, आपने दो तीन जगह पे emphasis दिया, millennials, overrated, understood. So you could communicate the message properly that there is this word which is overrated, which is not actually understood by people, and the word is millennials. So whenever you are talking, it's important to emphasize on the words जिन पे आप चाहते हैं कि लोगों का ध्यान जाए. The second thing very important is called pauses. So when you are on stage, your adrenaline is flowing very high, you are nervous, and as I said before, We just want to escape. We want to finish what we are saying and we want to escape. So we rush it through. Whatever we are saying, introduction or whatever, we rush it through and we finish and we leave. But when you're speaking, if you put pauses means थोड़ा सा आवाज के बीच में थोड़ा सा gap. Pauses means थोड़ा सा comma. अगर आप जब लिखते हैं तो हम comma देते हैं. Similarly, when you put a vocal comma, that is called a pause. So when you're speaking, adding pauses to your sentence can actually be very beneficial. Let's look at the same sentence again. Let me tell you about a word, comma. So let me tell you about a word which is underrated, not quite understood, comma. And the word is, comma, millennials. So now I'm going to use two things together, emphasis and pause. Let me tell you about a word which is underrated, not quite understood, and the word is millennials. So now you see how this thing sounds with the comma and with the emphasis. The third important thing is silence. Silence means to just shut for maybe a second. So what happens when you are talking and there is suddenly a silence? People get anxious. Ab ye kya bolega? You know, what next? So why that silence? Something important is coming. So it is an attention grabbing tool. For example, the sentence is that the pressure got to her so much that one day she decided to end her life. Now this is a common sentence. Now let us use three things together: the emphasis, the pause, and the silence. The sentence will now go like this. The pressure got to her so much that one day she decided to end her life. So what did I do? To end her life was important. I wanted people to be curious that when pressure got to her, what did she do? She ended her life, or she thought of ending her life. So silence, if used correctly at the right point, will actually grab the attention. Another example, I was always wondering whether I'm beautiful or not. And after a lot of thought, you know what? I decided to enter a beauty pageant. So what did you do? You know what? Before that, you paused for people to think that, she wasn't sure. Then what did she do? She decided to enter a beauty pageant. Okay. So it was the mixture of the emphasis, the pause, and the silence. The next point is loud and soft vibration. A lot of people, when they're introducing themselves, what do they say? Something like this. The next point which I want to tell you is clarity. Many a times when people are introducing themselves, when they're telling their names, I don't know why they go soft towards the end. For example, hello everyone, my name is Rita Gangwani. So Gangwani went down. People could not catch my surname. There is no clarity when I'm giving my name. So throw the words out like this. Hello everyone, my name is Rita Gangwani. So it's not going down, neither is going too high. What you're doing is you're throwing the words out. So sometimes you have to throw the word out so that it is clear and everybody can understand. The next point is loud and soft. Sometimes you have to go loud and sometimes you go little soft. Now, going loud and soft also depends on the speaker. For example, when they want people to really listen, they go little soft because that's like a command. For example, can you get me a glass of water? Or it could be, can you get me a glass of water, please? It goes up or down. So either you are ordering, commanding, or you are explaining. So it goes up and down, up and down. So again, it's up to you where you want to go soft, where you want to go loud. The next point is fast and slow. Fast and slow can be quite tricky. Sometimes you want to say things a little faster, and sometimes you have to say things little slowly. Sometimes you are your best judge. Where to go a little fast and where to go a little slow. Point is, be loud. There are some people who are very soft spoken, and because they are soft spoken, they fumble with their words. वो खा जाते हैं अपने words को. Many times when people are introducing themselves, they eat half the sentence. Hello, my name is Rita Ganguly. So they eat the words. No. If you want people to listen, you have to be loud. Every word has to be loud and clear. So when you use loud, how will this be? Hello everyone, my name is Rita Gangwani. So I threw the words. आपको words को बाहर फेंकना है. You have to be loud and throw it out. लेकिन अगर आप बहुत softly बात करेंगे, if you eat half your words, then your communication is not going to be effective. So a lot of people are soft spoken. They just cannot speak loudly. And they think speaking loudly is not right. And people who are loud always feel that I'm too loud. They try to speak softly. But you must be a good judge where you want to go loud and where you need to go slow. So if you are a person who speaks very slowly, then you should do this little exercise I'm telling you. Now, what is this exercise? You have to go, like climbing the ladder. So you have to go from 1 to 10 top of the ladder, and then 10 to 1 you come down the ladder. So you start with a very soft voice and then keep going up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So like this you go till 10 and then come back. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So when you practice this ups and downs, you will be able to understand the different frequencies of sound. What is low, what is mid-low, mid-high. So you go to top and that is the loudest. And when you are loudest, you know that the loudest is not going to work on stage because you already have a mic. And if it amplifies, it will be like shrieking in people's ear. And if it is too soft, then it will be like a whisper. So you know which is the best way to be loud and soft. Second very nice, easy exercise I'm giving you is how do you know how do I sound on a mic? Because when you're speaking on a mic, you must know how do I sound. Because when you're speaking on the mic, people in front of you can actually make out the different sound, but you speaking from here actually have no idea how is your voice being amplified on the other side. So you want to be sure how? Just make a tunnel with your ear like this, with your hand around the ear like this. Take another hand and put it inside like this and make it airtight and whisper inside. So as you speak inside these two tunnels, the voice which is getting into your ear is exactly how you will sound on a mic. So do these two exercises to know whether you are too loud or whether you are too slow. The next point is toning, the tone of your voice. Some people have very thin voice, very shrieky voice, and some people have very heavy voice. So too heavy and too thin can also be a problem. So tone is very important because when you express, the tone of your voice will determine whether people really like what you're saying or whether they do not. So how do you develop a good tone? So to develop a good tone, I'll tell you another exercise which is called humming. हम गाना गुनगुनाते हैं ना, so जब हम गुनगुनाते हैं, that is called humming. So now when you're humming, remember, humming relaxes your vocal cords. It relaxes your vocal cords. And as I told you, that your voice is a combination of your respiratory system, your phonetic system, and your resonance. So that means still diaphragm, the whole thing is involved. So when you hum, take your sound as low as you can through humming. So you can put your hands on your chest and feel that vibration. Take it down, take it down to your diaphragm. So if then come up. Mm, mm, mm. So you are raising and lowering, raising and lowering the pitch. Just like that, I told you about that high and low. So here we are working on our tone. So the tone is high and low. And then you find a midway, which is the best tone that works for you. And when you start practicing this every day, you will develop a very nice tone of your voice, which will really, really be very pleasant to listen. So many singers and so many radio jockeys do practice a lot of this toning exercise so that their voice is very pleasing to everyone. The next point is emotions. You need to put emotions in what you are saying. If you are happy, sound happy. If you are sad, sound sad. If you're feeling something, that should be reflected through your voice. The only people who are told not to show emotions through their speech is a newsreader, because a newsreader cannot start crying when they're talking about a tragedy, or start laughing and jumping with joy in their voice when they're talking of something great. So they speak at a particular monotone voice. They don't put any emotions into that. But a common person, when we speak, we must put emotions. We must show how we are feeling. When you speak normally also, घर में भी, when you speak to somebody, पता है आज क्या हुआ, आज ना मैं अपनी friend से मिली and we had so much of fun, बहुत मजा आया. So see, there was so much of emotion in that voice. तो जब हम घर में करते हैं, why can't we do it on stage? For example, when I got first division in my 12th examination, my parents were so proud of me and I felt at the top of the world. So see how you used this expression of happiness through your voice. Similarly, somebody could be saying something like that. Life can sometimes be a tragedy. And I have seen a lot of these moments in my life. So you see, you're showing emotion, that you're feeling something. So it's very important that you put emotions when you speak. The next point is inflection. Inflection means putting your voice up and down according to the message you want to convey. So there is upward inflection and there is downward inflection. And we normally use inflection at the end of the sentence. When you want a response from your audience or response from someone when you're speaking, your voice should go up at the end of the sentence. Can you get that paper for me, please? So when you want a response, the voice goes high towards the end. And when you are stating a fact, the voice goes a little down towards the end. For example, a child is born every second in this world. So you went down. So when you use inflection, you are able to convey your message with a lot of impact. So now we know that voice modulation is a combination of a lot of things. The pauses, the silence, the inflection, the emphasis, and so forth. So when you actually write your introduction, use these tools to make your voice a little better. Similarly, when you are answering the question, according to what is being asked, use that emotion or that tone when you are answering. And that actually will make you a great communicator. So to have a great voice, there are certain things you should remember. First is water. Just before you go on stage, it is always good to have a glass of water. That will relax you and you will be able to sound better. If not that, maybe you can keep a candy in your mouth, suck on a candy so that there's a lot of salivation in your mouth and it remains a little wet and doesn't go dry with nervousness. Secondly, if you don't take water, the larynx will go dry. The vocal folds will go dry. They're supposed to be moist. So if they go dry, you will actually slur when you speak. It's also very important to record your voice. So when you record your voice and you listen, you get a great feedback on yourself. You actually make out where I should have stopped, where I should have had a silence, where the comma should be. So it's important to keep recording till you think that now you have a perfect introduction or a perfect speech. One very effective voice modulation exercise is the sentence, I told you he murdered the gardener. So this is the sentence. Now, every time you say this sentence, you put emphasis on separate words. I told you he murdered the gardener. 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 So when you emphasize on different words, you get a great feel about the emphasis, how you can use emphasis when you are speaking. So pick up a sentence. It's not necessary this sentence, just pick up a sentence and put emphasis on different words so that you understand how even the meaning changes when you put emphasis on different words. For example, the sentence is, I told you I love you. So how it goes? I told you I love you. 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 So see, when you put emphasis on different words, sometimes even the meaning or the feel of that sentence changes. Humming, as I told you before, is again a great exercise for your voice. Lip trill is another very nice exercise. So lip trill is that you breathe in and you throw the air out just like you're blowing the bubbles and make the sound with your lips. Sorry, it looks a little odd, but when you do it, you'll be able to understand how to do it. So just tickle your lips. You will feel that tickling on your lips. And this exercise will give you a very clear sound. A lot of people get confused about the word intonation. So remember, voice modulation is the big umbrella and intonation falls under it. That means putting your voice up and down, up and down, up and down. So I hope you got the basic of voice modulation. What is voice modulation? How voice is produced? What are the components of voice modulation? Some of the exercises of actually creating a great voice. And also in the end, as bonus, I will give you another exercise. I told you that every word should be clear. And sometimes we are not sure whether the words are coming clear or not. So you can take a pencil, you can put it in between your lips, hold it there with your teeth, and then try to speak through it. My name is RITA GANGWANI. So you throw the word out when you use this exercise and it will help you to speak clearly. So these are some of the exercises I've told you. I hope you will follow them. I hope you will use voice modulation in your introduction, in your question and answer round, and during your closed door interview. And for general public, use voice modulation as you communicate because this is a very important tool of communication. We actually use voice modulation when we speak at home, but I don't know why we forget to use it at the right place at the right time. So thank you very much for your time and thank you for listening. I'll soon be back with another video. Till then, stay safe, stay happy.